I mean, that might, yeah. Might be the answer. So anyway, we are live on air, and
Maybe.
maybe, yeah. And you're back with us as well, mate, which is always a bonus.
Yeah, really sorry about yesterday. I miscalculated there. It is a Queen's holiday birthday celebration in a lot of Commonwealth countries, but
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it?
obviously not where she lives. Well, I guess she celebrates it on her birthday in the UK, does she? On her actual birthday,
Yeah, well,
rather
she's
than.
got two. Yeah, well, maybe that. Yeah, maybe that's. Is this the second birthday? Is it?
Well, it's traditionally the. Actually, I thought it was no, it's the second weekend in June. Yeah, the second weekend in June has always been that, as far as I'm aware, in Australia, and I know it was in France and maybe Italy. A few other places had holidays yesterday.
Oh, they did. Yeah, but France would have had a holiday because the Queen. Not sure what that was down to. And Germany.
Well, yeah, yeah, not sure what all that's about, but
Oh, interesting.
I just assumed, and wrongly so, that that Great Britain would be having the same day off for the same reason. And of
No,
course, I
yeah.
made other arrangements, and just yeah. Then I realised, whoops, got that wrong. So left you to your own devices, mate. Sorry.
Oh no, that was all right, mate. That's okay. It wasn't a lot doing, and there's still not a lot doing. This is. Can you see my chart here?
I can.
This is the chart of the FTSE, and the one thing is we've just started to come into overbought territory at least, and you know that this is the indicator that what the indicator's been like for really the last couple of days, just in this overbought embedded kind of phase, and then it just started to dip down a little bit last night, and it's just dipping down again, and you can see that there's divergence here with price.
Mm.
It could still make another run to the upside because we're pretty close now to this point here. There's a big level of potential resistance, all-time high versus the yearly high. In actual fact, it might not even be this year. Let's have a look. Yeah, of course it is April this year. So this year's high versus the all-time high. That's where the price action is getting fairly close. It's not. It's not there just quite just yet. So there's a little ways that it could go. It could pop up another 20 or 30 pips at this particular point. Not really sure. Yeah, it looks like 23 pips, 25 pips or something to the upside is probably left. I'm not really sure what is going to take this in the opposite direction, but pretty clean. Pretty clean signal here, you know, with a daily pivot that's kind of like constantly stepping up. So there will be
Mm.
pivot traders that are interested in here, and there's a fairly decent level of support now. That point there, level of support along here as well. So you know, there's every chance that this just kind of comes here and pops up again and meanders round. Um,
Decent gap up there over the weekend. What was the cause of that, if anything, or do we know?
Oh, it was just purely. I suppose you know the FTSE futures are exposed to both the US market and China. So the Chinese really after we had Donald Trump, that's the gap there, ratifying the Mexico deal. The markets did take a hop. Took a nice hop to the upside. So really
Mm.
that was Friday. That was Friday's price action when that was going on. In fact, no, that was yesterday. Sorry, yesterday's price action hopped up again, and that was China catching up.
Interesting again. I've got a gap of around about what, from 73.95, say, to 73.45.
Oh, really?
Yep,
Uh,
that's what I'm seeing on the cash, obviously. But
I mean, I've got cash on this as well, and that still doesn't give me that.
yeah,
Oh,
interesting.
actually, hold on, maybe it does.
Yeah, there it
So,
does. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
okay, yeah.
That's kind of what I'm looking at.
73.43, is it? And then
Yeah, roughly.
Yeah, to 61. Yeah, so there is that gap there. Yeah, but that gap, it's been all but closed really. It's not
Oh, it
it's not
has now,
really.
yeah.
Yeah, so I don't think that's going to play too much of a part, but we'll see if the market does actually start to drift to the downside, because so far it's holding on, and it's been fairly robust. And even Donald Trump over the weekend, sorry, not over the weekend, over yesterday, said that he will happily slap more tariffs on China if they don't come and meet him at the G20. So even that kind of rhetoric, which would have caused issues not a few months ago, are getting kind of swept aside now. Everybody's waiting for the Fed. The interesting thing for me is everybody's so confident that the Fed are going to raise reduce interest rates,
Mm.
that in itself flags danger to me. Um, I mean, it, it has happened in the past where people have been, so confident that it happens, and it does happen. I do know that, but I think by the same token, it's also happened the other way. And I think what could happen is that the Fed could, I'm not saying that they will, but they could hold off for another month. They're all expecting it next week, but they could hold off for another month. And that is going to see this market, that's going to affect the market. That's going to
Yeah,
take the
look,
market
totally.
down.
We don't have to look too far to see that reserve banks don't always do what they're expected to do. And where was it? May's RBA
Yeah,
statement.
yeah.
Everybody was, the birds were singing rate cut, and they didn't go.
Absolutely right. Yes, they did. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And they went in the end, didn't they? But
They did, but 1
it's
month
quite a way
down the track,
after. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So this could very well be that. And I know you're not saying that's going to happen, nor am I saying that's going to happen. But it's not always the case that the economists get it right.
yeah. So are you playing this a certain way as well? Because I know obviously sort of trading the euro. What are you looking at with that?
Yeah, look, I'm not convinced on the euro. I'm actually bearish the euro at the moment.
Oh, so the
Only short.
same. You've almost got the same outlook as I have, because
Yeah,
a
I'm
rate
only
cut.
short-term bearish though.
Okay,
I don't see a big target below me,
okay.
but I definitely see a short-term short, if you like. As far as the US dollar is concerned, look, I'm always bearish the US dollar,
Okay.
because I think it's a garbage. It's just a garbage currency these days. I can't believe it's still the currency upon which we rate everything.
Yeah.
And I know down the track that's going to change. In fact, it's inevitable that it will change. But what that looks like and when, absolutely no idea. But yeah, I'm a constant bear on the US dollar, but I don't think I'm any more a bear right now than I ever have been, because of a potential rate cut. We've heard all this before, and I would absolutely be surprised if they do cut. I'll go out on a limb and say that I would be surprised if they do.
Oh,
And I
would you?
know yep, I know there's pressure coming from all sorts of angles, not least of which Donald Trump saying, "Told you so, told you so."
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
going the wrong way. You're going the wrong way, and he was right. I could see that was also an error. Raising interest rates too many times too quickly never
yeah,
works,
yeah,
especially in this environment. But I don't think that will be an issue. To be fair, I think these people are actually, well, I won't call them sensible, but I will call them considered, and they will consider the numbers that they've got since the last Fed meeting. And I haven't put those together yet, to be fair. So I really don't know what the numbers look like in terms of unemployment. And I know that was really bad on Friday.
yeah,
And wages, I think, dropped as well, didn't they? So they're both indicators that would suggest that the Fed won't like the interest rate where it is.
yeah.
But there's probably a little bit more data to case. Retail sales are coming too, aren't they? I think
Yeah,
before
we
that
got we got
announcement.
some bits and pieces coming out, as you say. We got
Yeah. So,
also same in the UK. There's we got numbers from the UK today, this morning. We have got average earnings from the UK, and I suppose is the thing, isn't it? The economy itself, or the world economy is taking a bit of a hit. So the Fed is under pressure to keep the rally sustaining. But I do think it's interesting so far what we've had, because as I said before, this month doesn't tend to be the best month for the FTSE, but it just goes to show that you can't really use historic data to make decisions. It just backs up maybe the decision
Yeah,
that
it's another layer, as we keep saying. It's just
it's
a
another
layer.
layer, yeah. But I mean, fascinating really with the FTSE. And this is why I'm finding it a little bit tricky, because the market's really overdone here. And I'd quite like to, maybe even get a hedge on to the upside. But and after this, this is a classic engulfing bar. Not only engulfing the range, but engulfing the actual open of the previous bar, engulfing the range of the previous bar, not just the close. And also engulfing the high. So classic engulfing bar. So incredibly bullish price action signal there, which does suggest further upside, but it's just It's just a little bit difficult to get in to the upside, because of these significant levels here, and it could pop through here, and then you're waiting on that one to provide resistance. That doesn't provide resistance, and it pops up again, and it's just pretty uncontained right now, which really can happen with the FTSE, as we see here. Week on week on week on week on week on week on week, just investors missing opportunities to the upside, and there's got to come a point where I'm not going to be able to ignore it. I'm just going to have to hold my breath and go for it, however overbought it looks. I mean, on the dailies, that's not the case. On the dailies, we've got where are you going now? On the dailies, we've got plenty of room. The indicator could go right to the highs again, and it's got plenty of room to get to the upside. But it's the 4-hour that suggests that it would come back a little bit, and the hourly suggests that it could come back a little bit. But then, looking back to that previous point where we did get that amazing run in the stock market, which was, let's go back to the weeklies, which was this point here, February. I'm not sure. My chart's going to go back to February 2016. Or it might do, actually. It might do. Oh no, even. Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, actually, yeah, it was this point here that it started. Even the dailies actually did give us some retracement as the market pushed higher on the weekly. So you'd certainly look for something to come back, but so far it just is not playing ball.
Yeah, it was kind of like me with the Aussie and Aussie Kiwi for the last 6 weeks. I just couldn't find a way. Then eventually, it did unfold, and we got that nice trade Aussie Kiwi short.
Yeah, and do you know what?
Yeah,
that's actually quite that's actually quite good to hear. Just that sometimes you just got to wait, haven't you? Just got to wait it out and let things
yeah,
unfold, because
frustrating as all crap, but sometimes you
yeah,
just
because markets never go in one direction. For, well, say never. They occasionally do, but oftentimes, more often than not, they will give you a chance to get in.
yeah. Look, I think greatest lesson that I've learned, well, out of many, over many years, is that the instant you give up on your analysis, which you were absolutely hell bent on being correct, the
Yeah,
minute you give up on that is the exact time that the market will do exactly what you thought it would happen.
yeah, yeah,
So, as hard as that is to cop at times, and particularly if the market's running against you, and I trade a little bit differently, of course. I've always got to stop, so I always look for the next one. If I get stopped out, I don't sort of ride that analysis to the hilt,
yeah.
which maybe I could at times, but I just prefer to to get out and then wait for that opportunity to come again. And invariably it does.
Yeah.
And almost always when I'm asleep, and I wake up and, oh my God, you mongrel dog.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the argument against not having a stop in place, or for not having a stop in place.
Yes. Yes.
Where it just turns around on a dime, and that trade that you missed out on is the one that was going to get you into the beautiful little profit margin. Yeah,
Yeah.
very, very frustrating when it's going the way you don't see.
Yeah. And do you know
And
what?
generally it'll just leak and leak and leak and leak until suddenly bang, away it goes.
Well, do you know the worst thing about this is that I don't remember if you remember last week, but I was saying I wanted to get the hedge on earlier than I normally would, and I just
I
wasn't
do
able to get
remember.
it on. And that's the problem with this move. It's not it's not that the moves happened. I just couldn't get my hedge on. I just couldn't get it. It was bouncing up and already sort of like starting to get moving. And then we had this bar here is the ECB. So then we had
Yep.
that to wait through, and really by the time that had started to clear up, it had gone again. And obviously, I didn't well, only because I was looking at initially this being a potential area that it would come back at me. But no area so far is proving to be if we consider this particular trend, this area found it a little bit sticky. But as soon as it got through there, managed to get through that level, give a retest, but that was, as I say, this was what was going on there. That might have been the time when I was looking to get in. No, it was this bar I was looking to get in on, to get my hedge on, and then it just went. That's right, because I'd shorted it around here. Um, Looking at this evening star pattern here, and that was because of these lines over here, I think. So I shorted it around here, and then this next bar happened, and then we had ECB, and then I was looking to see whether there was something going on here, which again took off and not held up, and now we got this level here, took off again. In fact, it's gapped up from that point, not giving another opportunity. I suppose this is the next level now over here, along with that trend line. So will there be anything decent? But the issue is that it's not going to be deep. It's not going to look very deep, and I just don't like these trends. I mean, this is a 4-hour chart, and on the 4-hour chart, which seems a bit strange calling a trend a bit too mature on a 4-hour chart, but comparatively speaking, this 4-hour trend has just been difficult. It's just been very, very difficult to get in. It's been very aggressive and
It's
fairly
fast.
parabolic.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a tricky one. There's it's not my my ideal. I like to see when I see a retest. I like to see. I don't want to see that on my retest for a start, which is that particular bar. I kind of want to see it come up and then come back and then give me an entry and then go. But the retests really have just been just at this point, it was just literally, literally just some price action on a shorter term time frame. It comes up, whips back, and gone. So that's been the challenge. It's been very, very difficult to get into. But I just say, mate, there'll be a way in
Bloody
eventually.
frustrating.
Yeah, it might be that I've got to wait at least another 20 pips before this starts to come back. Because there's just a lot of confidence out there, but everybody's quite happy with the Fed raising interest rates. And I suppose the other thing that they're quite happy to say that with the Fed raising interest rates, there will be a reaction, and a positive one from that.
Well, maybe. I really don't know. Well, I know what the flavour of the month is, that everyone's talking it. And, when the birds are singing one thing, I tend to think another, to be
Yeah.
absolutely frank with you. But there's one thing that I can't argue with. And, well, I can argue with it, but I've just got this incredible penchant at the moment that the pound is going to explode. And
Yeah.
there's absolutely no fundamental reason why I can say that. In fact, I can say the reverse. But yeah,
Do you know the
it's just
pound is interesting because
poised to go.
we've got this leadership battle. Incidentally, gold is that's also started to come off. So maybe more signals that the FTSE and the rest of the stock market across the globe is going to struggle to come back at this stage. Lots of confidence. Yeah, very, very interesting with the pound, because the pound has got this leadership challenge going on, this leadership battle going on, and we got this guy Jeremy Hunt who's really appeared as one of the front runners now.
He Mike's brother?
No, he's not Mike's brother. Not as far as I know.
Fair enough.
But he's a decent challenger to Boris Johnson. He's a definite prospect for the top job, because he's a lot more moderate. He voted and campaigned for Remain during the EU elections. And if he was to get in, I think there may well be a different deal on the table. You can never say for sure, but he would certainly approach it differently. And I think the pound would benefit from Jeremy Hunt being voted in over Boris Johnson. Boris Johnson is a dangerous and divisive character that, if he gets voted in, I think the pound is going to struggle for some time. But
Yeah,
but I've got a sneaky suspicion that we're not going to get a hardline Brexiteer, and we might end up with somebody like Jeremy Hunt rather than Boris Johnson.
Interesting. I just keep seeing setup after setup that's telling me the pound's going long, and it's absolutely terrifying to think about what's happening on the outside fundamentally. Yet I cannot ignore what's happening on the inside, which is technically.
Yeah.
And technically, it just keeps giving me signals that it's about to blast off.
Yeah, you've got this inverted head and shoulders, haven't you, going on with the pound?
Well, I've got that on all charts now. I've got it on the weekly. Actually, I haven't
Are we
checked
able
the
to see
daily.
your charts, or are you Google just didn't?
I should think so. We'll try. I'm doing it now.
Are you still there, mate?
Well, that worked a treat, eh?
Oh gosh, we got you twice now, have we?
Have you? I don't
Yeah.
know.
Put my
I'm
screen
losing.
back on. Yeah, I got you back. I got you in twice now.
Oh God. Okay, don't touch anything.
No worries.
Maybe if we use your chart, and I can talk over your chart.
No worries. Okay. Well, this is the pound.
All right. So go with the weekly to start with. We'll start at the big picture and move on from there.
Okay.
So nothing's changed on the weekly. We've still got a double bottom.
Yep.
And we've still got, at this point in time, a higher low and an inverted head and shoulders.
So there's our double bottom down there. Is that the area you're talking about?
Yep.
That's our weekly. And then on the daily, you mean you got the higher low?
On all charts. I haven't got the higher low yet on the daily. But on the weekly, I've got an inverted head and shoulders. On the daily, I've got a potential inverted head and shoulders.
Yeah. Yeah.
On the 4 hour, I've got an inverted head and shoulders. So it's all there. And on the 4 hourly, I've got double bottom, bullish engulfing bar, and now a higher low.
On the 4 hourly?
Yeah, the one that's 4 hours, isn't it? You one
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've got it's a very widespread one, but it's an inverted head and shoulders. That's the right shoulder where you are.
Yeah. Got it.
And that's also a higher low and a low test bar.
Yes.
So, that's a tradable candle right there. The fifth last bar is a tradable candle.
This one here.
And, sorry, the one back, the red one.
Yep.
Yep, that one. So that's a tradable long for me.
Yes, yes, yes.
Because I'm also in the weekly, which has now been triggered, of course. I don't know if I can take more risk onto this because
No.
it's fundamentally flawed. It's just not a wise thing to do. But if you were to draw a channel on the 4-hour chart from the low or the left shoulder, if you like, go through the left shoulder and go through the neckline of, which is the high, that one there. Bring that back down to the, let me see. There's a little swing low, one back from the current swing low. So up a little bit.
This one?
There. Yep. And if you put that as a channel to the swing high just after the swing low, that's the first one. Yep, there. That doesn't work for you. Is this 4-hour chart?
Yes, pound dollar.
How bizarre. I've got a clear channel.
That's the problem, isn't it? You're getting sort of like conflicting information.
Wow. That's kind of stunning. You've got the same candle formation as I've got. Yet maybe we're using okay. Got it. I'm using the two highs instead of the two lows. So if you use the two highs, so go up to the swing high, there, yep, and bring that across, yep, to there, and now make that a channel down the bottom. So that tells you we're short on the right side.
Yeah.
And this is where it becomes difficult. We can see that there is a potential right shoulder forming there, but is it low enough? That's the question. So that's reason number 2 why I can't trade that candle at the moment. But if I was to see price come down to that line and give me the same candle, I would have to. I definitely have to scale in. I'd have to. There's no way I couldn't. But that's so close to a trade right now. It's not funny. And as I say, I'm just expecting this to explode at some stage. Don't know when, but I'll wait for that perfect setup before I scale back in. But gee, I'm keen, mate. I just can't until these lows go. I can't see any way technically short for pound US dollar, and that's crazy to say. I know the whole world will disagree with me right now, but that's okay.
Yeah.
I don't mind that. I like that kind of position, actually.
Yeah. Well, absolutely. So if it comes down here, you'll be thinking about getting in again.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. I mean, it's the Thursday. I think we get the first round of the leadership candidates decided, and that I doubt that'll have too much of an effect on the movement. But because you're on a weekly chart, we're looking by the end of next month for the announcement to be made.
Yeah, look, if it lasts that long, fundamentally, it doesn't need too much more to go wrong. I mean, the numbers yesterday were just horrendous.
Yeah, they were. Yeah.
But interestingly, if you look at the daily chart, it wasn't that bad. Certainly, the reaction was
you're right.
fairly substantial, but it did pull off the lows pretty easily.
Yes, it did. You're absolutely right. And today we've got interestingly, it's the euro as well, isn't it? The euro, pound euro. So then we've got average earnings index as well, which could be interesting. I suppose with the rest of the world reducing interest rates, it's unlikely for the UK to start raising them. So I'm not sure whether these numbers, to a degree, start to become a little bit more arbitrary until we see what everybody else is up to. This is the euro pound as well. I mean, it just gone and gone and gone and gone and gone and gone and gone.
Unreal, isn't it?
Unreal,
Yeah,
and again, and another one of the, and this is a daily chart. You know, it's not. This isn't an hourly chart. It's a daily chart. And again, another one of those charts that has just not found any significant pullback off these what would normally be significant levels.
mate,
Burst
I've been
through.
waiting for reversal. This could go down as the best exit I have ever made in my trading career.
What's that for the euro dollar?
Euro pound.
Euro
You
pound.
know, I was short until I think about 10 pips off the bottom.
Wow.
Look what's happened.
Yeah,
Oh
crazy, isn't
my
it, mate?
goodness.
Absolutely
Yeah.
crazy. Just what's been going on with some of these runs in these markets recently. You know, I think the pound has been a fascinating one. I think the FTSE obviously has been a fascinating one, and you know, we've seen the world stock market kind of going in the direction it's going, and with the pound weakening as it is, then the FTSE does tend to do a bit better. So it's also probably getting a little bit of a jerk, but just because of that. Um, so you know, I don't know. At this stage, I'm not really quite sure what's going to bring either of these back to life. As you say, when they're in these positions, you kind of like look technically and you think there's got to be something. There's got to be some way to get in, but I just
But where
don't.
is it?
Yeah, I just don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. I don't know what's around the corner, and that's the only thing that I can hang this on right now, is that unless Donald Trump is impeached, or whether he comes out and says something else, or he rubs another country up the wrong way, then there doesn't seem to be a fundamental reason. I suppose the Fed not raising interest rates is another possibility, isn't it? Everybody gets overconfident, and then all of a sudden,
Yeah, it is.
boom.
Yeah, that could certainly move things. That's for sure. Couple of other things, I suppose. Did we look at the euro properly? Or did we look
No.
at the euro at all?
And do you know the interesting thing
Euro.
about this is that people buy stocks because of their growth, their potential growth, and what they can give them back in dividends because of earnings.
Yep.
And the Fed reducing interest rates, yes, it could give everything a bit of stimulus, but it's not really based on anything solid. So it's on very, very shaky ground. That kind of boost to an economy. It's not like an economy which is in really good growth. It's a Fed really which is kind of putting its finger in the holes and hoping to kind of keep the water out.
Yeah, look, we're looking at growth in the US through fiscal stimulus, right? And also an accommodative. Well, not so much so. They've tightened pretty much for the last 2 years now. And now that's deemed to be overcooked. So it would appear. But that fiscal stimulus, once again, has come from, massive borrowings, if you like.
Yes.
Money that never existed in the first place. They never had it to spend. And, to me, that just makes no sense at all. And in a situation where they count their national debt in trillions and not billions, I don't see any positives coming out of that long term
No.
for an economy. I just don't see. And I'm no economist. I have absolutely no idea how the US economy actually ticks over and works. But if you're managing your household by creating more debt on debt on debt on debt with not a whole lot of assets to back that up, I know what happens to you. You go broke.
Yeah.
And I don't see any other answer to that. I really don't. Unless these tariffs actually work and everything becomes internal, he deglobalizes, if you like, and the American economy. But even that's not going to work because they have to be in the global economy. There's no option these days but to be in the global economy. You
Yeah.
can't shut your borders. You just can't do it.
Yeah.
It's not going to work
Yeah.
because of the capitalist world in which we live. Everyone wants what's outside of the country, not just what's inside of the country.
Yeah.
We want the latest Samsung TVs that are curved and 4K, or now they're 8K talking, and we want 5G technology. We want
Mm.
all of those sorts of things. So you just can't internalize it, because the country will go backwards very, very quickly, and the American people are not going to put up with that for 1 second,
Yeah.
because they're highly consumers, big consumers.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's an inherent problem there from my point of view. And as I say, I was the worst in economy in my class in high school, and I honestly don't understand the way things tick and work and revolve, and the gears and the actual motion of it all. But common sense tells me that if you keep borrowing and borrowing and printing money, that something's going to jump up and bite you in the end. And
Mm.
and
Yeah.
I know that's going to be the case, and I've always held that opinion, and that's why I'm a constant bear on the US dollar.
Mm.
Mostly I'm wrong.
Yeah.
One day I'm going to be right. I'm like that dude in The Big Short, mate. I know it's coming, but timing, that is a very, very crucial thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Very, very difficult, isn't it?
Shit, yeah.
Well, this is the euro, and your
Mm.
thoughts on the euro, or are you just kind of staying out the euro? And
No, look, I am kind of on the sidelines, but I do see an opportunity right now to short the cross. But when I say opportunity right now to short it, what I don't see is what I need to see, and that's a tradable opportunity. And the opportunity has to come. What chart are you on? The daily, are you?
yes.
Right. So on the daily chart, you can see that we've had exactly that trend line break. That's very, very clear. And now the current candle is probably my best shot if it doesn't break the high. And what I'm looking for here, yesterday's candle was interesting. If yesterday's candle was a decisive bearish bar and it closed on or below your trend line there, I would be a bull right now.
Yeah.
But it didn't. So it shows indecisiveness at that level. It also shows that we haven't been able to close at or below the trend line. But it above everything shows to me indecision. And if I get another indecisive bar here today, and then we see a little bit of bearishness, maybe back to the weekly pivot, I think that's a very bearish sign, short term. When I say short term, I can see the monthly pivot in sight. I can see probably 111.15-ish back in sight as well. I think we're going to be range bound on this cross until something different happens. That could well be the Fed next week. In fact, it probably will be the Fed next week. It could be prime ministers. It could be new Brexit information. It could be anything. But I don't think until we see something like that, this is going to go too far. Maybe on the rumor, maybe that's what we're seeing right now. As we always know, buy on the rumor, and the rumor is, of course, that the Fed's going to cut interest rates. So that's probably why we're seeing this rally in a large degree. I think 113.60 is the cap here. I don't see that being broken. And that's only, 30 pips away. We're not far away from that. I could well be wrong, but, history has told me that 113.60 doesn't break very easily. And it's one of those figures that are just locked in my head, 113.60.
Let's
And
mark
if
that
you
off.
go, yeah, look, if you go back in time, you'll see why. Because every time we get above it, we can't get below it, and every time we get below it, we can't get above it. It's a very, very significant level
Mm.
for this cross.
Mm.
And
It is, isn't it?
that's pretty much where we are right now. We're very, very close to that. So I am a short-term euro bear, but if I see maybe a break and retest of 113.60, I think that probably changes. But until it does, I'm looking for shorts on the euro. And at the moment, I don't see any, to be fair, because I need to see a reversal pattern in the first instance, and that's just not there right now. So I have to wait. But yes, I am a euro bear at this point in time.
Right. So a euro bear, we are pound bull. I mean, given that, would you consider
Yes,
euro
sounds
pound?
sounds like it, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, of course I would, and I've been waiting to trade this short again for yonks. But same applies, until I see a strong resistance level and a potential reversal, then what's the point? You're just trying to pin a cloud down,
Yeah.
and at the moment that cloud's just on fire. It's just floating free in the breeze.
Yes, it
So
is.
there's no possible way for me to just go, okay, now's the time. I've got to wait for something, and it's again just not there right now. Euro's the same. Euro pound's the same. Pound is the only one that's showing me anything right now. But again, frustratingly, it's very, very difficult to trade. So yeah, mate, I'm absolutely waiting on a euro pound short. I'm waiting on a euro short. I'm waiting on a pound long. I guess all those things combined make sense at the end of the day.
Right. Okay, mate. Well, I think
Hang on, Aussie's also interesting. We've got to look at
Aussie.
the Aussie.
Okay, got the Aussie as
Yep.
well. Aussie dollar.
Yep.
Aussie dollar. Yep.
Yeah, look, daily charts, if you go to the high of, what day was it? 30th of April, 30th of the 4th.
This one. Yep.
And come through the high of, what chart are you on? Weekly. Go
Oh,
down to
sorry,
the
mate.
daily.
Yeah,
You
let's
right?
get the dailies.
The high of the 7th of the 5th.
7th of the 5th. Oh, 30th of April this year. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, this year.
Let's get another line here.
Now come down one swing high. For the
Down
start
here.
for the start, come down one swing high. No, that's the end.
Oh, I see. I see.
Yeah. Bring the yeah, that's him. And now swing through the high, the very next swing high. Yep. Wow. How is that different? So different to mine. So you're on the daily chart, yeah?
Yes, on the Aussie dollar. Yeah.
And you're going through the high, or you're starting at the high on the 30th of the 4th.
Yes.
And you're going through the high on the 7th of the 5th.
Yes.
Man, right now I've got yesterday's close pretty much bang on the top side of that trend line, and I've got today's candle rejecting the top side of that trend line. How different! Wow.
Do you know the funny thing is that the Aussie pairs seem to be the ones that have some of the biggest disparity between the two brokers.
Well, isn't that interesting? I wonder why that is.
Yeah.
So, is that an Aussie broker you're on? Not an Aussie broker you're on.
I thought Axie Trader was.
Oh, actually is. Yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
it is. So this, what am I on? IFS.
I think that
I
is
think
as
they're
well.
Aussie as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are. So that's weird. Yeah, I've got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. The last 5 days, candles have all tested and closed above that trend line.
That's strange.
It's also very frustrating
Yeah.
because technically, how do you line that up?
Yeah.
I've got a really big signal here,
Yeah.
and you've got completely the opposite because that line hasn't been retested. Wow, that's scary. I don't like that at all. I wish I could show you my chart
Yeah.
because I'm sure you don't believe what I'm saying.
But no, of course I do, mate. I absolutely do. I think you might need to maybe show me tomorrow if it's working better.
All right. Well, just imagine for now, right? This is what I've got a point here I need to make. So Also put in the support trade line or trend line. Just come off the most recent bottom and through the the most recent bottom. Yeah, bring that to there. Yep. And then swing it up through the next. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
that one
so
has given me. Yeah.
Right, that gives you the right. And
Yeah.
now put in a line at a horizontal line at 69.52.
Yeah.
That's the monthly pivot, right?
Okay.
And on my chart, with that resistance trend line, which is now being retested, that is a massive support level.
Right.
Where the Aussie is right now.
Right.
Now, the only thing, the only issue I've got with that, again, is similar to the pound. How the hell can you be bullish the Aussie right now? And I can't. I just cannot think of any good reason why the Aussie would rally. Well, there's half a one, and that is that my firm belief always has been, not always, sorry, since about 2007, 8, maybe even 2009, that the Aussie is not a proxy for gold, but it does lag gold very, very well.
Right.
So if you look at the gold chart's telling me that we've put in a new high on gold. Yeah, okay, it's coming off that high, no question. And if it does tank, then I think the Aussie will go with it. But the Aussie hasn't reached that high yet.
Interesting.
So maybe, just maybe, this support level is going to do good things for the Aussie, because it's the only thing that can, frankly. I don't know how it can possibly catch a bid. Where's the good news coming from for the Aussie? The only, and the other side of that, of course, is what we've all just been talking about throughout the show, and that is the Fed.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, by the rumor, and that seems to be what's happening on most of these pairs. Aussie not yet.
No, that is interesting, isn't it? And actually, gold becomes interesting on that front as well, because obviously, if the dollar's to weaken, it's going to weaken across the board. So interesting that people are clearing out of gold. I mean, as I say, that I think some of these positions were taken as a bit of protection against the stock market, and the stock market seems to be quite buoyant right now. So the risk is just come off, and those riskier assets that were held are just weakening a little bit. Looking at the dollar yen, actually, dollar yen's fairly stable, but that's weakened a shade as well. So I think that's some of the reason.
Well, it's the only thing I can think of. Well, it's not the only thing. There's uncertainty about the place, which would suggest that we're going the wrong direction right now. With trade wars, with all sorts of things that Trump is doing. I'm just sticking to the technicals, mate, and that's all I can do.
Yeah.
But they are absolutely diametrically opposed on a couple of these, pound in particular, Aussie in particular.
Yeah.
They're not making sense to me. So
yeah. Which when
I'm not going to trade them, but if I do, it'll be very, very small risk.
Yeah, we've got something similar really with stocks, because we've got this inverted yield curve on the bottom, the treasuries. The 10-year is currently below. I think it was anyway. Might have flipped back up again now, but it was below the 3-month, and that is usually a signal for a recession. Which is probably, this is another thing about the Fed, isn't it? They've got these signals in place that look a little bit ominous for the stock market, and they are, I suppose, doing what they need to do. If they know that historically these things have signaled recession, what else can they do but react?
Yeah, true. Yep.
But anyway, mate, well, let's wrap it up because there's nothing really going on for me. I've got FTSE just reached that upper line, and it's just coming off a little bit. So I've just got to sit and wait with the FTSE. I'll just show you the upper line very, very quickly. You know, and ultimately, this is another short area, really. You'd want to see some signs and signals along here, but this is a short area. But the market has just caressed that line, and it's just now starting to come off it. So there is a short in the market here if anybody's interested in taking a punt. Well worth it, in my opinion. You know, it's a little bit like your pound trade. Well worth a punt to the downside. You've got a really strong level. You've got a market which has been fairly contained, moving to the upside, and that this could well be a huge move if the Fed don't raise interest rates, and this may well be also a great place to try and enter this trade with a stop at the high on a 15-minute chart. Could be looking at a really long-term trade. So there's one really could be one for the photo album if anybody's interested in that.
Yeah, look, I think we're going to see a big move in the not too distant future. I think I don't know so much about the FTSE, but if it goes, you know, as it does on occasion, well, if not normally, in the opposite direction, then I think we're going to see a strong pound and maybe a weak FTSE coming up.
Yeah, I think you may well be right, mate. All right, buddy. Well, enjoy your the rest of your day, and I will speak to you in the morning. Same trade time, same trade channel, and we'll have a look how things turned out for the day at least.
Cheers, mate. Take care.
All right, buddy. See you later. See you guys.